But first, we're going to follow the latest details in Russia after the attempted mutiny in President Putin's own backyard. Fighters from the Wagner Mercenary Group moved in on key positions in Russia over the weekend and briefly advanced towards Moscow. The private army has been helping Putin wage war in Ukraine. Our Rylee Carlson reports.
Residents cheered as Wagner mercenaries left the Russian city of Rostov, ending an hours-long revolt launched by the group's leader, Yevgeny Prigozhin. Prigozhin seized the city and began to advance towards Moscow over the weekend after blaming the Russian military of targeting and killing his men with a missile strike in Ukraine. Russian defense officials have denied it. Russian President Vladimir Putin called Prigozhin a traitor on Russian state TV Saturday, but later accepted a deal brokered by the leader of Belarus to allow him to live in exile in the neighboring country without prosecution. The Kremlin also agreed to pardon his fighters.
This is an unfolding story, and I think we're in the midst of a moving picture. We haven't seen the last act.
On CBS Face the Nation, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken hinted that the situation raised questions about Putin's grip on power.
It was a direct challenge to Putin's authority, so this raises profound questions. It shows real cracks.
It all comes as Ukrainian forces are weeks into a counteroffensive. Officials in Ukraine say they're making progress towards Bakhmut.
I think what Ukraine needs to do is press every advantage it has to use this moment to get its territory back.
Over the weekend, President Biden spoke to Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky about the war and, quote, recent events in Russia. Rylee Carlson, CBS News, London.
Meantime, the former U.S. ambassador to Russia spoke about what the uprising could mean for Vladimir Putin's grip on power. Here's some of what John Sullivan said during an interview on Face the Nation.
It's evidence of the weakness that this reveals, what's happened in the last 3 or 4 days, the weakness of Vladimir Putin. It's not just an appearance of weakness, it's actual weakness. A person that he has said is a traitor who has stabbed him and his nation in the back, he struck a deal that he needed to strike to avoid bloodshed and chaos? What strong leader does that?
So for more on the situation in Russia and its impact abroad, CBS News reporter Mary Ilyushina is joining us now from Latvia. Good morning, Mary. So let's get into this. You know, does this open display of rebellion call into questions Putin's grip on power?
Good morning, Emery. Yeah, I think it definitely casts the Kremlin in a very weak light, because what we saw on Saturday is quite stunning. If you take Vladimir Putin's statement in the morning, where he said that he will punish these traitors, that the measures will be really, really harsh, and about just 12 hours later, the Kremlin and Putin sort of blinked first and said, actually, we have a deal, we want to avoid bloodshed, and we'll let Prigozhin go. And in the span of these 12 hours, a lot of Russia watchers were thinking, you know, how does Prigozhin survive this physically? You know, so this is it was incredible to see Kremlin say that he can just go and he will pardon all the soldiers, all the fighters. And it also undermines what Vladimir Putin has been sort of selling the Russian people for 23 years, which is stability and order. And this weekend, Russians watched this armed column, tanks and fighters marching across 3 regions in the country.
So then, do we know where Prigozhin is? And then what happens with the Wagner fighters? Are they still part of this war?
So the last we've seen of him was in Rostov-on-Don in southwestern Russia, where Wagner captured this command post and then since left it to a lot of cheer from the people of Rostov-on-Don, which was also quite stunning. We don't exactly know his location now. The Kremlin said he is supposed to go to Belarus, but didn't really explain in what capacity, whether he's going to live there or he can just use it as a transit hub and go somewhere else. It's not clear whether he has still access to his just actual private jets, which he had in St. Petersburg, whether he's able to use them. His press service, the latest that they've said is that he doesn't have a good signal now, is not sort of available online to comment on anything, but he will return with some statement at some point in the future. And regards to his fighters, the deal, the Kremlin said, is that people who did not take part in this mutiny and armed rebellion, they will be absorbed into the defense ministry, so they will join the regular army. But people who did, that's not super clear. They appear to be pardoned and not prosecuted, but whether Prigozhin will be able to retain them as a force, it's still not very clear.
Okay, so what has the reaction been to these events inside Russia?
Well, I think what we saw in Rostov and in some other sort of southwestern regions is, to me, really the most surprising thing, because people, in the morning there was a little bit of anxiety because, sort of armored vehicles rolled into the city, these really heavily armed men, but then they kind of behaved calmly. And then by the evening, there were a lot of people cheering Wagner. And when Prigozhin was driving away in this like black SUV, it was really like a celebrity meet and greet, because people were running up to the car, trying to shake his hand, clapping, taking selfies. It was essentially like a celebration by the end of it, which was quite stunning and I guess concerning for the Kremlin, that a person that Putin called a traitor was quite, received a warm welcome in parts of Russia.
And I know Prigozhin and the Kremlin have a long sort of relationship, various incarnations. But can you just tell us briefly what got the Wagner Group to this point? What was the main complaint?
The main complaint was their fight with the defense ministry and the defense minister, Sergei Shoigu, because they were kind of locked in this battle for influence and a battle for glory. Wagner was a really important fighting force in Ukraine in recent months. They were credited with capturing Bakhmut, but the defense ministry tried to take control over Wagner. They said that they have to sign regular contracts with the army, and sort of that would essentially mean Prigozhin would lose control over his private army. And he said that, he's not going to do it. He's not going to sign. He's not going to stand for it. And this conflict has been brewing for months without Vladimir Putin's public intervention. Then it exploded into this rebellion. And, he had to go on national television and say, he will punish this traitor. And then so far, Prigozhin remains unscathed.
Fascinating. Well, we're going to continue this conversation a little later on the show. But Mary, for now, thank you so much.